Yeah, just start off. It was a good week for us. Down at Southern Miss was a real challenge, and it's never just the easiest place to play. I think they're really talented, so I was really glad with that victory. Kind of a little bit of the get the rub off of that. Oh, like we can't win on the road or something like that. I don't like those. That like narrative. So I think those two road games are a really good one. Southern Miss is tough, and then I thought the UMass game is. I think they're really good. 9-0 at home, 16-4 overall. I think they're good. I think we played really well. We were really locked in to our game plan with that, and just really proud of our effort overall. I think we played a good team game. We got a lot of assists. The last, you can say, even 4 games, we're passing the ball really well. So that brings out a unselfishness everywhere. So good week. Shane.
Yeah, with the assists, some of those are coming on breakaways, getting out ahead of the defense, and it seems like over the past couple of weeks that's just been happening more and more. Has it been a concerted effort to try to create those opportunities, or is it just something that's kind of developed with this team?
Nothing new. I think nothing new. I think Bree is constantly chasing what I think would be a well-deserved Defensive Player of the Year award. I think that's on her mindset. So I tell her all the time, you can go for steals, not at the expense of just going for steals, being undisciplined, but try to cause as many steals as you can. And so she did that. I thought Zakiya did that great in the UMass game as well. And so I think those two, Peyton getting out and doing some of that, it hasn't been more emphasis on it at all. But that's how we want to play, right? We want to create to be really stingy defensively, to get out, either rebound it or get a steal and get out and run. And I think our assists are up a little bit because our three-point shooting is up, and maybe hand in hand. Maybe that goes hand in hand, right? The more threes you make, most of them are assist threes. I think that kind of goes hand in hand. I just think we're doing a really good job sharing the ball. There was a couple possessions yesterday. It doesn't feel like yesterday. That I felt like we just made the extra pass, and I think the more you do that, the more it grows as a group. That if Kurt makes the extra pass to me, right, I'm now going to make that same pass to him when it comes time to when it comes back around.
And Peyton and Grace have both been kind of on the receiving end of some of those because they've run the floor and beat people down the floor. I guess. I like to say talk about, but like, can you explain why they've been able to do that? Especially Peyton. You don't necessarily think of her like necessarily beating people down the floor.
She's got a burst, man. Real sneaky. No, I think I'll start with Grace. I think that is great. One of Grace's best things about her. The play at the end of the half was a huge turning point for us. We're struggling back and forth with them, and Z makes an absolute dime to her, no look. She catches with one hand and lays it in. I mean, she continues to impress me and get better and better by the game. Her scrap in this game was awesome too. So I know you didn't ask about Grace in that manner, but man, scrapping, people are going at her, and I thought she's really answering the bell. She's really getting better. But Peyton too. Peyton, I think understands the opportunity and has a burst down the floor. I just think it's minutes and games playing with each other now, right? And where Z can knock it loose and it goes to Barnes. There's great anticipation running down the opposite end for P, for Bree, for Barnes, for Grace. So it's I think we're starting to learn each other in that sense of it too. But I think that's an element of it that we've been able to do the last 4 games, all created because of our defense. Is the answer to that.
And I will ask about Grace and the grit and everything else because, you talked about how early in the season you kind of had to convince her to believe that she could play at this level, which I always kind of found interesting given who else recruited her.
Correct.
And things like that. Like, has she started to kind of believe it? Is that why like maybe things just seem to be coming a little bit easier to her right now?
I like to think so. I haven't necessarily asked her that. I think some of our conversations have been more advanced than me just saying I believe in you, right? And I think she's starting to really truly believe in herself, right? And that's the way she's playing. And I know she's 5 for 5 yesterday. That's not even what I'm talking about, really. That's not the impressive part to me. It's the physicality she's playing with. She's going after rebounds with 2 hands. And I think, the 5 for 5 certainly helps. Anybody that's 5 for 5 is going to feel good. But I think her confidence is growing on the defensive end too, guarding people. We were just debating about it upstairs, what UMass's game plan would be first play, right? We were like, what do you think they tried to do? And it was like, do you go to your best player or do you go at the opponent's weakest defender, right? And they went into their 5. Now, I don't know if it was fully scripted, but they went into their 5 against Grace, maybe attacking our weakest defender, because I don't know, you're going to attack Bree, you're going to attack Zakaya. I wouldn't attack Barnes, right? But I don't know if that was part of the game plan or not. Just they went in, she got a steal. But I think she's grown. I think she's just growing, Shane. I think she's growing and starting to believe in herself. And I think the amount of time she spent with Z and Bree and Peyton and Ashanti in those huddles, right, in either crunch time or the beginning of the game in practice, like they're, as much as I don't like it, a lot of our practices ends up being those 5 and then another 5, and then they rotate back and forth. So I think that time, some of that confidence can be grown because Peyton believes in you, right, and Bree believes in you, and they tell you that more often than I do, really. So I do think she's coming around. I think this, in my experience with really good freshman that she's a really good freshman. Later in the year is when they really take off, because I think you can. I remember Angela Mickens playing awesome in a WNIT, right? I remember Toya Jiggets playing awesome in a WNIT both their freshman years. Like, they go back and forth for a while, and then they just kind of take off towards the end. So we're nearing the end here, so it's takeoff time for Gracie.
A few teams, Coach, have zoned you guys, and I feel like your zone offense has really improved, especially maybe in the last 4 games. What's the value for you as a coach in telling your players, like, you beat the zone, you get them back to man, and then you play the way you want to play?
Yeah. 2 things come to mind. Shout out Julie Folks down in Marshall. She got me going on zone offense, knowing you're going to need a really good zone offense to beat Marshall. And I expect to see them, hopefully not, but I expect to see them in the tournament. But the second part of that, Corey, I'm going to give you 3. The second part of that, I think, is the mindset of zone. And I'll give a little credit to Neil Harrow in the sense of he was always like, why do you not like playing against, who cares? Like, if they go zone, all right, you have this package to your team, it should be like, great, let's play zone offense. You know what I mean? And I think early on, if you ask Lexi Barrier and Kamai Smalls, it was like, let's get them out of the zone, right? So you didn't like the zone offense piece. I've tried to turn that around as well. I think it frees up Peyton sometimes, where other teams could play man-to-man and not let her touch the ball and get open and stuff like that. So I think it can free her up. I mean, some of her better games of the year was at East Carolina, was a lot of zone, right? There's been, if you wanted to sick John on that, it'd be fine, but you don't have to. I just think it's fine. Mike at UMass, I thought, did a really good job of, every play. It was like, I'm looking down, okay, he's in zone this play, let's call this. All right, next play, okay, he's in man. Okay, next play, they're in a press. Okay, next play, they're in a different zone. And I think that was a good game plan. And I thought we really did a good job not overthinking as a group to kind of just play. But I would love to play the way we want to play, yes, but I'm not zone offense. I used to be like begrudging, right? And now it's not that for me. I think we have developed it. Our players are much more comfortable with it now, and I just think they're not. I don't want to say scared of it, right? But they're not scared of it.
Turnovers were a little bit of an issue yesterday with 23, but you only had 7 against Southern Miss, and I think it was 3 straight where you had 15 or less turnovers. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that's an area that has improved quite a bit as this season has gone on?
Yeah, I feel bad because Z hurt her thumb, And I didn't know how much it was going to affect her, and it definitely did affect her early. I mean, she has to travel because she can't pick the ball up right. So I think that really hurts Zakaya. Where I think we had settled in to taking care of the ball better. And I just thought we got a little sloppy late. But, yeah, I mean, that's something that's on my mind a lot. And I think to win this league, you can't, you're going to get pressed. There's going to be pressure. You got to have ball control, and I think any good team in a use NCAA tournament, right? Any good team in a tournament setting, the good ones will not have a lot of turnovers. They have great ball control, and Danny Hurley's on my mind because I'm reading his book, and those guys do not turn the ball over. They just don't turn the ball over, and we shoot it. We shoot it well, right? Our field goal percentage is we shoot 45% on the year. So let's get more of those. Those are good. That's a high percentage possession right there if we're shooting shots. So I think the more we can understand that, but I just think we're just getting there, man. There's been so much influx, and we stages of the year, right? Chapters of the year for us that I think we're settling into a different one, and I think it's a good one. I think we're really understanding how important that piece is. Knowing we'll have I hope not, but we'll have another 20 turnover game at some point in time. Let's just get it in the last 5 instead of tournament time is the goal.
You mentioned earlier that your team really followed the game plan yesterday, and obviously we've talked about your big four that have been back and have been with you for a while. Others have as well. Do you feel like this team is carrying the scout over better the last 8 games or so than they were early in the season?
Yeah, for sure. And I'll add this part because we did, part of what we wanted to do to UMass, they have, their center who I think it was really averaging 4 shots a game. Number 2, she's got a name I'm going to pronounce wrong, so I'm not going to try. We put Grace on her, and we had Grace as kind of a helper. Their best post player, Megan Olbrys, who was a mid-major player of the year watch list kid, we were worried, can we guard her one-on-one in there, right? And so we're asking a freshman now to do something different, right? We're asking her to play off of this kid, help inside. Then, if there's a ball screen, you got to get up there and hedge. And she struggled with it day 1. She struggled with it day 2. And to the point, I brought them all in at one point in time and said, all right, tell me if you can do it or not. If you can't do it, if I'm asking too much of this particular group right now, tell me now. Because I do trust them. I do trust their opinion. I want to know what they think because what I've learned as a coach, man, if even if it's the right game plan, even if I know it's the right thing to do, how are you going to beat UMass? If they don't believe in it, it doesn't matter. And it's you'll end up losing just because there's not a buy-in to it. So, Peyton was one of the ones that stepped up and said, no, it'll work. It'll work. And I think hearing it from her, right, Grace hears it from her, not just from me, that it's going to work, I think helps Grace. And so I do think that is the case, but I've really learned this group, I want to know what they think. Shanti Barnes is smart. Peyton and McDaniel smart. Zakaya and Bree, they're all smart. They know if it's going to work or not. They know if we're asking them to do that and they just can't get there. I think we're at this stage, coach-player relationship. It's Coach, I don't know if we can do that. And I'll listen. It's not pounding the table, get it done anyway. I think we're past that point. And so I like teams like that. I remember being at ODU in that 22-23 season and asking Caroline, should we stay zone? And she was like, yeah, we should stay zone. We're having trouble guarding them. So, that's always helpful for me as a coach because it's such a different perspective from standing on the sideline to being in the sweat of it all. So, I think they're grabbing hold of it, and I think the more you get a positive reward from executing a game plan properly, I think the more you buy into the next one, which will be App State.
So what we've learned today is that you are not still fisted anymore. You will adjust to what your players will do. You won't be stuck in your ways. Is that right? Is that what I'm hearing?
I just think the best teams, man. You go Lexi Smalls, Coop. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they wanted to do, and I'm listening. Right. Now they don't all start that way, right? They don't all start that way, but I just think the best teams that I've coached have that, right? Where they can, hell, you might not have to even bring it up to me. If something's hurting us at 6 minutes to go in the fourth in a tie game, and you guys can in one of those huddles say, "Hey, look, let's switch that right." Like do that. Like I think that's what it's supposed to be in a way. And so I might be confused for a second of why they switched that, but if it worked, I'm all in, man. I'm all in.
You mentioned App State. Talk about the Mountaineers and what you see out of them.
Yeah, we're getting there. I know them. I know she does a really good job for them. They're very different. They're very, very different than any Sun Belt team we've seen so far. They're big. They cut really well off the ball. A lot of the Sun Belt teams we see are ball screen, really heavy drivers, very athletic. They're just different than that, and that doesn't mean not good. I'll tell you that right now. They're good, and we got to go to their place. But just an execution style team. I mean, they got a kid, I believe. She played a good amount of 5 last year, and now she's starting at the 3. Like that's a matchup issue, right? So there's some matchup issues in their lineup. They're really versatile, and so I look for it. I'm glad we got, even though we're coming off of a game, we still got a 2-day prep for them, which is a nice thing, and will allow us the time to work through the game plan.
I think the only way you're stuck in your ways right now is you're going with the same starting 5 every ball game. I mean, did you anticipate that at all, or is that just the way things have played out?
Yeah, I think you start the year, it would be lovely. It's never really worked that way for me. And we've had discussions about it throughout the year, but I don't know. I just think it's been right, and there hasn't been enough of a reason for me to change it. Yet, I should say yet, but I certainly don't plan on it. I just think you're really starting to feel each other out and falling into a groove, and I hope that just builds. And throwing a curveball at them right now, I don't think would be the best thing. But
not suggesting it.
No,
just
sir.
Curious about that, of course. Going back to Grace, was there a time early on, say the first 4 or 5 practices, when she got out there on the floor with Ashanti and Peyton, and she's banging down inside with them, that you could see the lamb thrown to the lion, so to speak? And is there a story behind that at all, or something that you can recall?
I wouldn't say one in particular, but I remember a really early workout. We're playing 3-on-3 and half court, and man, BMAC was so physical, right? And she hadn't started the summer. Or spring, summer. She hadn't started the summer with us because she had a couple things she had to get cleaned up injury-wise. So we were without her, right? So we're watching Grace play against Gemma, and we're watching, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, okay, that's a ACC Pac-12 at the time, Pac-12 center. And I think that it was like, this is going to be really good for Grace then. I also think Anna Goodman in practice is really good for Grace. And, BMAC was in and out, I guess, had a week and a half, maybe 2-week break from practice with a little minor injury. We usually split up guards posts during practice for 10 minutes every day. And Coop just takes Grace and gives Ashanti and Angela, because they play like guards anyway. And she goes against Anna. And Anna's been a really valuable tool for us in that sense. But no, there's not one moment, but I just always knew it was going to be her, not her biggest growth area, right? I will tell you this story. She'll probably be embarrassed. I'm going to tell this story. But last year she came to a game. We're playing Georgia Southern last year. And I can't remember this kid. You would remember it. Leah Johnson? Yeah. So Leah Johnson was huge, 6'3", huge. I mean, thighs, huge, right? And after the game, we had won the game. Grace and her dad came up to the office, and they were just sitting around, we were talking. And she was like, yeah, I looked up that girl, Leah Johnson, and make sure she wasn't coming back next year. Because it was like, I don't want to have to do that. But she can do that is the thing. And I think the more she understands that part, the better.
When you have great scorers, is it more important for them to score a lot early or score a lot late? Or does it matter? Is there a trend that points to that?
Yeah. I don't know. I think if you ask them, I think anybody that starts early feels good. What I was yesterday in particular, it's funny you say that. I thought, Zakai didn't have a great first half and Bree Robinson didn't have a great first half. And we talked about that at halftime, not letting anything affect your ability to defend. Bree didn't have a great field goal game, 2 for 11, but she had some huge plays for us, penetration, kick, or drop off. And so I think most scorers would say, man, you make your first 3, you're bouncing and feeling good. But, that's all for nothing, right, if you're not closing. So I think my answer would be late because you're going to win. But I don't know. I think if you ask them, it would probably be early. They'd probably want to get off to a good start, be wagging their tail a little bit.